Trey, what do you think you've gained most from these couple weeks here of OTAs and the practice out there today?
Just reps, being able to be around the guys, being able to be in the locker room, around the coaches. It was big, obviously, to get Brock in the room, new quarterback coach, an assistant quarterback coach. Just being around the guys again and being around football in this situation is a lot different, obviously, than training other places or, throwing routes on air to other guys and stuff like that.
What has it been like working with Brian Griese as someone who's been through it and has gone through all this?
It's been awesome. You said it. The way that he's been through it, not only, helped me as a football player, but helped me off the field with, talking to you guys, everything like that. From top to bottom, he's been awesome. He's been awesome, honestly, role model for me. For him to come into the situation that he did, and now me coming into this situation, he's got tons of experience, not only, with football, like I said, with just being in the situation and just being a quarterback in the NFL.
One of his first meetings with you guys was he sat all the quarterbacks down and he asked, what's your why? Because that's so important. What was your why, and then what did you get out of that meeting?
Yeah, we went through I don't want to get into too much detail with all the guys, but it's still on the board in the quarterback room right now. We kind of put a group together, a list together of why we do what we do. Building relationships, everything, from building relationships to winning, competing. We love the game. But we talked about a lot of stuff, and it was good. I thought it was, the best way to start that situation with him coming in, just because I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know why he took the job. I knew who he was, obviously, and I knew, what he had been doing for the last, 10 years. But just from a personal standpoint, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know where he lived. I didn't know, anything other than, him as a football player and as a, Monday Night Football announcer.
How hands-on is Clay Kubiak as a coach? What's your impression of him?
Clay's awesome, and I got to be with Clay a lot. He ran the scout team, or helped run the scout team last year, so I spent a lot of time with Clay, me and Nate both, and he's been awesome. He's, from a knowledge perspective, him and Brian both, we see the game the same, which helps me out a ton. But Clay and Brian are both super hands-on. I wouldn't say it's like even a 1-2 dynamic at all. In our room, they both helped me out a ton, helped Nate out a ton, helped Brock out a ton.
What's your relationship like with Jake Brendel, and how much did whatever time you guys spent last year carry over into now? And how would you describe sort of the responsibilities you guys share in terms of calling out protections, pre-snap, and things like that?
Yeah, Jake handles it, honestly, for the most part. That's kind of how our offense works. I have things that we can do from the quarterback standpoint, but for the most part, the center's making the calls every play. So past that, I got to spend a lot of time with Jake. Obviously, I took, all my reps pretty much with Jake, and Jimmy was with Alex last year. And obviously, sad I wanted to play with Alex for sure, but super excited for Jake. Jake's, 3 lockers down from me. We're together, one of the first 2 in every morning, Jake is. And I know he's one of the last guys to leave. So he works super hard, and his athletic ability is one thing I think that stands out about him.
Trey, what kind of interaction have you had with Debo, either yesterday or today, and just what kind of vibe do you get off of him coming back?
Debo's a guy we love to have in the locker room, man. It's good to have him, Trent, Bosa, those guys back. But I talk to Debo a ton, even when he's not here. So it's obviously good to have him back, just his vibe on the field, his energy. I don't think he's going to practice this week, but just having him around the receiver room. A lot of guys haven't met him, the rookies especially. The new guys in the receiver room, Ray and Malik and Keyshawn, all those guys have never spent any time around him. So I think it's awesome for those guys just to be able to, get together, get to know each other, spend some time together, on and off the field. But him, Trent, and Bosa, when they're in the building, it's a little bit different.
Is lack of reps with him for you detrimental in any way this time of year?
No, I don't think so. It would be great, obviously, to have him out there, but I understand the situation. And we'll get to spend a ton of time together, this offseason in July and end of June, so not something I'm worried about at all. And obviously, training camp is nothing but reps.
Quarterback coaches did you work out with on your own this offseason, and what little things did you work on?
I work with the 3D QB guys, Taylor Kelly, Adam Dado, and John Beck, and then Quincy Avery and Sean McAvoy down in Atlanta. So I kind of split between those two. Spent most of my time in SoCal this past offseason. But, man, just cleaning stuff up, using my lower half, kind of real similar. But I know everyone talks about the throwing motion, and and your slow-mo videos and all that. But it really wasn't as much as you guys think. I know you guys everyone has their opinion on it. But for me, it's about getting the ball out, accuracy. Like I said, it's a lot different, working down there, working away from the building because you're working primarily as a thrower, not necessarily as a quarterback. So there's little things that you change when you get back here, just from a timing standpoint, from an eyes standpoint, little things like that. But it wasn't no major changes for me.
The tightness of your spiral, how you spin the ball, something you guys talk about, or are you good with that?
I mean, it's great when it spins. For me, I changed my grip a little bit. Obviously, like I said, coming off the finger last time I talked to you guys. So for me, it's like just getting back to reps, sitting there spinning the football to myself. But no, it's not like, yeah, man, if I'm throwing to a good spot, I'm throwing to a good spot. I know the receivers would love to catch it, and I love, obviously, when it comes out great, but it's football.
Shorten it over time? Is that a goal of yours to get more kind of clipped?
Not necessarily, I wouldn't say. I don't feel like it slows me down or I get the ball. Everyone throws different, and I know everyone talks about, oh, man, it gets below. I don't want to get into the details of it too much, but for me, no, it's not really something I worry about as long as I'm playing on time.
Are you noticing that being a year into it, you're more prone to make anticipatory throws? And was that one-handed catch that Hudson made over the middle today, was that did that take a little bit of anticipation from your standpoint, given it didn't seem like, from at least my angle, that he appeared open?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just knowing the offense and knowing where guys are going to be, and having spent, all last year with Tanner, for example. Last year on scout team, I got to throw to Tanner a ton. So you kind of get used to throwing to guys, getting used to throwing to spots, how guys run routes against different coverages, different looks. So I think that's probably more of it than just in general trying to anticipate throws. I think it's just feeling guys.
Last week, Steve Young said that he had 100% confidence that you see the picture, your processing ability. I wonder, have you and Steve Young spent a lot of time talking about that in this offseason?
We got to talk a decent amount, yeah. And I mean, obviously, a guy like that means the world anytime he says anything about me. So obviously, nothing but respect for a guy like that. Everything that he's done, and him having been in this building and played for this organization. For me, man, I'm going to take everything I possibly can from a guy like that. I mean, anything he has to say, anything he has to offer me, I mean, I'm welcoming him in that with open arms.
How did you guys get together? Like, did you reach out to him? Did he reach out to you?
No, just honestly through kind of mutual people. Like through Jerry was one of the situations when we've talked a good amount. But through the team, team events and different things like that, and then getting in contact, obviously, having each other's phone numbers also.
Any one thing in particular that stood out that he's told you or shared with you so far?
He's talked about just being myself and confidence, I think, were the two main things.
There's a lot of parallels between where you are in your second season, where Brian Griese was, as far as expectations and pressure and everything. He has said, you mentioned media tips, that he felt he was too guarded. And you seem, maybe just natural as a rookie, you're maybe a little more guarded or unsure, but you seem more yourself this year, at least in these settings. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think I was like I said last time, I was in a little bit of a weird spot last year. You guys wanted to talk to me, and I don't really have anything to talk about. I wasn't necessarily playing, so I was in a weird spot, I felt like, last year. But that's how it goes, and that was the situation I was in. I tried to embrace my role and make the most out of it. But yeah, me and Brian are definitely different personality-wise, but I think it works perfect in the quarterback room.
Thank you, guys.